Hi, Democrats. Today is Monday, November 8th. It's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Monday. I got so much on my mind. So today is 1 week out from the special session for our state legislators to vote on and approve our congressional maps. So you still have time to reach out to your state representatives and tell them that you would like there to be a little bit more transparency. So we have 1 week before the special session starts. That's next Monday. All righty. We have 1 year from midterm elections. I've been talking about it, trying not to shock y'all, but even I woke up today realizing that it was the 8th and that we were exactly 1 year out from midterm elections. And so if you haven't been listening to me before when I say it's time to either be a candidate or support a candidate, please listen to me now, because we are 1 year out and it's going to take a full year to get your message out and make sure that people know who you are and make sure that people are ready to vote for you. We're 1 year out from midterm elections. Now, let's talk about why midterm elections are so incredibly important. And I'm going to sum it up by talking about roads, Big Bird, and the minimum wage. They are all linked, I promise you. Just kind of follow me. So this weekend, the infrastructure bill passed and is sitting on the president's desk, unless he signed it today. I've been insanely busy, so I haven't been keeping up with the news. So it's a reality. And yes, it is a far cry from what he started out, right? That's a far cry from, I think it started out at 7 million and we're down to 1 million. But it is the most progressive plan for infrastructure that we've had since the 40s or 50s. It is the most amount of money that we've spent on roads and bridges and trains and buses since the 1940s and 1950s. So it's well overdue. And so what does it get us? Right? It gets us, I think it's $433 billion for roads and bridges. No, $4.3 billion for roads and bridges. It gives us money for sustainable transportation. That's buses and trains. It gives us an infrastructure for electric vehicles, so you can plug in not just in your garage or the 1 or 2 stations in town. This way you can actually use your electric car to travel through the nation, because we're going to set up a real network of plug-in stations, which also diversifies our revenue stream. And then the thing that I've been talking about for more than a year, we get $100 million. And these are just the numbers for Oklahoma. These aren't the numbers for everybody. These are Oklahoma specific numbers. It gives us $100 million for reliable high-speed internet service. You guys have heard me talk about this. About 24% of Oklahomans do not have access to affordable, reliable, high-speed internet. And that was hammered home with COVID, when people were at home trying to educate their kids and also working from home. It's a problem. It is a real problem in Oklahoma. And we're finally going to get some money to work towards that. Now, here's the problem. Our entire delegation, both of our senators and all 5 of our congresspeople, voted against the infrastructure plan. They voted against roads and bridges. They voted against sustainable transportation, electric vehicles, and reliable high-speed internet for Oklahomans. I don't care what they say, because they didn't just vote against it, but they all put out statements. Now, here's the trick. They've all been putting out statements saying that they want money for roads and bridges, that they want money for sustainable transportation. They've all been putting out statements. Then when there was an opportunity for them to vote to get that money, they all voted against it. I don't know if it's because it was Democrats who put it up. And if that's the case, they picked party loyalty over the actual people of Oklahoma who they represent. I don't want to assign negative motives, but that's kind of what it sounds like. Or they just didn't understand. Like the rest of us understood, roads and bridges meant roads and bridges, but they voted against roads and bridges. So let me go back to saying we are 1 year out from midterm elections. All 5 Congress people are up for reelection, and our junior senator is up for reelection. Now is the time to send a message that if they won't vote for what is important for Oklahomans, if they will pick their party over what they believe is right for Oklahoma. And I have to keep saying that this is not Alicia, the Democrat, who's saying this. They have actually asked for money for roads and bridges. And when there was money for roads and bridges on the table, because it was put forth by the Democrat president, they voted against it. That's not people who are representing us. It's not people who are representing Oklahoma. Because here's the thing. Democrats drive on the roads, but so do Republicans. They weren't representing their Republican constituents either. This is big to keep in mind. And this is why I do this every day. We can't just think about it in November. We have to think about it all the time. And we have to watch them and hold them accountable. Our entire delegation, I can't say it enough, voted against roads and bridges. Our entire delegation voted against the $100 million coming to Oklahoma for broadband. And as I've seen people talking about it, it is true. You're going to see them. They're going to be at the ribbon cutting when they open a new highway. They're going to be at the ribbon cutting when they set up all the electric vehicle plug-in stations. And they're going to be bragging about how internet access has been expanded all over Oklahoma. And they're going to take credit for it. Don't you let them. They did ask for money, but when they had an opportunity to get it, they voted against it. And we have to remember that. They voted against it. They had an opportunity to get the things that they said that they know that we need and that they asked for. But because President Biden was touting it, they voted against Oklahoma. Full stop. They voted against Oklahoma because they let partisan politics get in the way of taking care of us. Now, I say that, and then I want to talk about Big Bird. So the Republicans are all in a tither, all in a lather, because Big Bird got a vaccination on Sesame Street. Are you freaking kidding me? First of all, how do they know? They should be at work. Why are they watching Sesame Street? That's a whole nother thing. But they're all upset about it. And to take it a step further, my congressperson, and it hurts me to even say that, is Kevin Hern. And he called a whole press conference to threaten the Department of Labor. A whole press conference because of the mask mandate. So he's just going to defund the whole Department of Labor. Now, I know what the Department of Labor does because I was raised in a house where my father worked for the Department of Labor, retired from the Department of Labor. But I don't expect everybody to know. So I'm just going to tell you a couple of things that the Department of Labor does. They're the ones responsible for dispersing unemployment benefits, employee safety, which is OSHA, mine safety. They're the ones who publish the labor statistics, minimum wage, making sure that you get paid properly if your employer tries not to pay you, child labor protections. That's labor, making sure that your employer can't hire you for $5 an hour when the minimum wage is $7.25. Making sure if you're supposed to be paid time and a half, that you have somebody that you can go to and complain if your employer isn't doing the right thing. That's the Labor Department. And he's threatening to defund the Labor Department over mask mandates. And so I ask myself, is it really over mask mandates? Or is it because of minimum wage? Is it because of stats? Is it because they responded to the survey that was released last November that said McDonald's is one of the top 5 low-income employers, that their employees are actually qualified, well, they're actually beneficiaries of Medicaid and food stamps. So you can work full-time in a lot of McDonald's, and I think things are changing, but right now, full-time at McDonald's and still qualify for Medicaid and food stamps. And for those of you who don't know, because you don't live in Tulsa like I do, Congressman Hern owns a whole bunch of McDonald's. Now, he doesn't believe in the Labor Department because of mask mandates. He doesn't believe in COVID. I'm all mad over Big Bird. But he did take COVID relief funds. Can't have it both ways. Do you believe in COVID or not? Because you took some COVID relief funds. So he voted against roads for us. He voted against broadband, high-speed internet, but he took care of himself by taking COVID relief dollars. These things are completely out there, not necessarily related, except for the common string is that he will take care of him and his interests before he takes care of Oklahomans. I just felt like I needed to talk about how our elected officials on the national level really care about hanging out with their friends in DC and not taking care of us here in Oklahoma. And they show it every time there's an opportunity to vote for what's good for us. They vote for what their party tells them to vote for versus what is good for us and what they know is good for us, because several of them were asking for money for roads. One of them asked for money for broadband. So they asked for this money. So they know that these are things that Oklahoma needs, and they deliberately voted against it. They take care of themselves. They don't take care of us. So that's why I do this every day. That's why I've been seriously trying to get everybody engaged in elections, and to know that we are in election season. We are in election season. We are 1 year out from midterms. We are 90 days away from elections on school boards. 90 days. So you have some time to practice. We have 90 days before it's time to vote for school boards. So keep that in mind. Election season is all the time. And it's not just voting for president. It's voting for school board. And we have to be really careful. And we have to pay attention to voting for school boards and not let them get bullied by the small but incredibly loud, obnoxious, anti-vax people who show up at school boards and beat up on our school board members. We need to support them by sending them additional people who will stand strong with them. So we need you to be thinking about who needs to be on your school board and making sure that we know about them. The filing for that, though, and this is why I'm talking about it 90 days out, the filing period for that is December 6th. December 6th through December 8th. So we're a month out for the filing for school board. So if you know somebody who you think will be good on your school board, you need to be encouraging them now. If you are thinking about being on the school board, you need to be getting your stuff lined out so you can fill out your paperwork on December 6th. All righty. Thank you guys for joining me. I will be back here tomorrow at 4:15.